everybody, it's Martin at Flicking Feathers again. Tonight I'm tying shrimp using the Pro Sport Fisher shrimp shells. It's quite a good looking shrimp fly, really natural looking. I'm tying this quite large. I'm going to be using these hopefully. I'll get a chance to throw them at some permit in Mexico, but you could tie them in different sizes. I also tie a similar fly, change the colour scheme slightly for the waters, the local waters here. I use it for bream. So this is a 2/0 Gamakatsu S10S 4H in the vise. You can use whatever hook you like. And I've just started some nylon thread, some clear monofilament, and then I'm going to just figure eight in a pair of large dazzle eyes, the big size. These brass eyes are plenty heavy enough for this fly. It's just enough to flip it, really, is what you need, because the shape is quite streamlined, you know, so it doesn't take a huge amount of weight to sink it. That's fine. There we go. So then I'll just take my thread back until I'm just sort of at the start of the bend, in line with the hook barb if you let the thread drop. And then flip everything over. At this stage I'll just come in with a bit of glue. Get it around the wraps at the eyes, just to lock everything in place. But it will never, they'll never move. The nylon, the monofilament thread is really good at gripping dumbbells because of the stretch in it. So the first thing to tie in is a bit of foxtail, natural foxtail, or coyote is good as well. Nice colour. You can see this has got some quite long guard hairs. I'm going to take some of them away, right? The kind of mid-length ones. I'm going to leave a few there, because they'll sort of represent antenna. Now I'm only using the under fur as like my measure, and I want that like a shank length. So just offer it in, tie it in, and nicely secured, and then just sort of make sure it's distributed reasonably evenly around the hook bend. And then you can see the guard hairs are quite long and they'll be trailing away. Look no nice and shrimpy. Next is the legs, and I'm using Loco legs and sand, and I'm just going to fold just 2 legs full length off of the tab, and I've just left the ends connected. Then just fold them across my thread, pull them up, pull them vertically and angle them slightly towards yourself to sort of counteract the thread torque which kind of wants to push it away from you. Then when you get here, you can just allow them to go to either side and then tighten up. I like to cut these at different lengths, so I'll just snip the tabs away, and I'll leave the sort of middle 2 long. We'll just leave them as they are, and cut these, the outside pair, just slightly shorter, maybe 12mm shorter, half an inch. just to give us a, you know, the two different lengths. Then for flash, I'm just going to add a little bit of angel hair, ordinary angel hair and pearl, maybe half a dozen strands or so. I'm just going to fold it over, snip it at different lengths. See that there? And then just come in, offer it in here, tie it, fold it back so that it's doubled, and that's it. Now I like the angel hair for shrimp patterns. It's slightly more, you know, it gives you a slightly more subtle effect necessarily than like crystal flash and things, but you know, you also do get a nice bit of flash off it, and you can spread it more evenly through your wings and things. The rib is going to be some 5-pound nylon, and I'll leave the tag end quite long because I want to fold it back. So that just for security, it can never pull out. Right, so egg sac is going to be some EP shrimp dubb and hot orange. Lovely dubb in this, really nice, really good for your saltwater and crayfish patterns. Thoroughly recommend it. So get that dubbed on, and I want this to be about a quarter of the length of the fly, not much more than that, a quarter to a third at the most. Right, and then I'll just allow my thread to run through that. Just to tighten everything up. I mean, we're going to brush it later anyway. Maybe actually add a bit more. It's a wee bit sparse that. You do want to get plenty of dubbing on. You need to have enough body to support the shrimp shell. Otherwise, it kind of looks really weird if it gets over compressed. You need to have enough density in the dubbing to hold everything in place. That's better. And then we're just going to take another bunch of the natural fox. Let's see if I can get a good bit. Similar thickness a bunch. You don't want a huge amount. And we're going to take out quite a lot more of the guard hairs this time. Still leave some, but get most of them out. Then I'm going to offer this up here, so it sort of comes about the same length as the stuff that's already in there. Just tie it down. It's a wee bit tricky when you go to rib, because you need to obviously lift this wing and sort of see where your shrimp cell's sitting, but it does give a very nice effect at the final fly. The body is just EP shrimp dubb and tan. Just the same dubbing as before, different colour. You see that's quite thick. I'm going to run my thread through it again to tighten it. This nylon thread's pretty tough, so you don't need to worry about like the fly getting damaged or anything. This makes for a really tough, durable fly actually. The synthetic dubbins and then the mono thread. Right, so that looks like it's sort of roughly wide enough, I would say. And I just need to finish off the dubbin between the eyes. Slightly thinner rope this time, just figure eighting it through. Have a look, make sure everything's covered up, that's fine. And now we're ready to tie tie in the Pro Sport Fisher shrimp shell, which are like this. They look like that if you haven't seen them. I'll put a link to the website where you can either buy them from Pro Sport Fisher or you can find a dealer if you're outside of the EU. So we'll just cut to showing you how I prepare the shrimp shell before I tie it in, and then we'll come back and finish the fly. Okay, so for tying this with these shrimp shells from Pro Sport Fisher, the first thing I like to do is come in with my UV resin. It's got a tiny spot. And put a wee bead on the eye. Just gives you a nice pronounced eye. I mean, the black spot on its own is probably okay, but I like just that slightly more pronounced effect that you get from adding the bead. Set that with a light. Well, maybe make this one a wee bit bigger. Now it's much easier to do this when they're on the card than it is to do it on the fly, and also it means later when you're building the UV resin on the shrimp shell, you can hold this section without worrying about smudging the resin. Right, so then now we can continue with the fly. But I just thought I'd show you how to prepare that first. Alright. Okay, so we're ready to come back to the vise with my prepared shrimp shell. There we go. Sometimes they're a wee bit stubborn coming off the backing. And then we'll just line it up. Okay. Make sure the shell's sitting directly on top. And then I find the easiest way to make sure these stay square is to just press my thumb at the tie-in point and take a loose wrap over it, and a couple of tight wraps, and that sort of seems to be the best way I've found of stopping it rolling. And then you can see you've got the wee sort of tail pieces there just sticking out over the eye. If I've done it that way, you can see that they're at either side of the eye, which is a good marker for you as well to know that everything's sitting nice and square and straight. So then we'll lift everything up and try to find the rib. There we go. And then I'll just take a turn through the orange, maybe sweep this down and see how we're looking, and then I'll offer the shell back down over the fly, That actually looks quite good. I'll just get that tied in. And there is a marking you can see on the shell back where the rostrum's marked, and then just a few turns of ribbon. You don't need to be too fussy with this because we're covering it with UV resin anyway. It just holds it in place. Same again, fold the nylon back, just for, you don't want it popping out before your fly's finished. And then we'll come in and trim the waste piece. Right, so far it looks okay. Let's get that set. Now, this is why we do this, as I mentioned earlier, this is why we put the eyes on first. Now you can touch, because it's set and you can touch it, and it helps you sort of set the shape. So I'll just whip finish this nice and quick. Oops. And you just need one and do it quite tight, because this will all be, that'll be getting a coat of UV resin, so we don't need to worry too much. And just make sure there's not really any fibres above on the top. I can see a couple there. Just get them away. And then to set the shape, I do the sort of rostrum first, and I stop just clear of the eye. I'll give that a nice coating, and then you can pinch the eyes to get, the eyes together. You can pinch them slightly together and lift them, and then set the resin, and that will hold the shell at a slightly upward angle. Make it a bit, and it gives you a bit of freedom for the fox to move, and the legs can kind of come up, makes it look nice and shrimpy. Now that we don't need to worry about bending it around, we can run the resin up along here, and it can be very thin, but I like to connect it to the eyes just in order to make it a bit tougher. You don't want it, you don't want them just to let me pop off after you've gone to the trouble of putting them on. And we'll just finish the back. It is worth taking the time to do this. It really lifts the pattern that's on the shrimp shell. You don't see it that well over the dubbing when you use this sort of clear and tan version until you add the resin. That it sort of lifts the pattern. It makes it just look so much better, so much more realistic. Once that's all coated up, I'll just finish the head as well. That's it. I'll let that sit for a minute, turn it over, and I'm just watching for it to hit the right profile that I want, and then when it's just where I want it, I'll give it a zap. Just like that. few seconds just to make sure it's thoroughly cooled. And that's the tie-in done. The last thing just to do is to sort of pick out some of this dubbing at the sides. I prefer this, you know, the wire brush for this. It just helps you. You know, your bodkin, you can go a bit deep and you end up pulling a bit much out. The wire brush doesn't take just as much. There we go. It's just enough to sort of give the suggestion of legs. You know, when viewed from, you think about a fish is going to be viewing it from above. So you don't want a huge amount, but you do want some coming out here. Just give it a wee bit of movement. So when you've already got the legs and the forks here, but you know, you don't want it too uniform along the body either. I think I'll just add a bit more resin onto the shell here just to build it up a bit. That's the beauty of this stuff. You can just go back and add more. You don't need to worry the way you used to with epoxy. I'll just let that sit upside down to sort of smooth it out, and then add it with the light. And there you have it. That's the Pro Sportfisher permit shrimp. I'm hoping I got a permit, or at least something good on it in December. Maybe give them a run in Okinawa in the spring as well. I mean, anything that eats a shrimp, you would think would eat this. So I hope you liked that. If you did, don't forget to give us a thumbs up below, and remember to subscribe for more HD videos. Leave some comments below, let me know the sort of flies you would like to see tied. And thanks very much for watching, guys. Bye.